Hello, guys. Welcome to this part two of breaking into AI. I'm Samuel Nichuitievlos. I'm an AI engineer, and I'm walking you through how to get into AI as a technical professional. So, if you're trying to dive into AI and you're interested in like backend development, front end development, or data science, machine learning, ML engineering, and you want to see how you can work with AI in these various fields, this video is for you. In part one, I tried to talk about how to dive into AI or how to work with AI from a non-technical perspective. So let's dive in and see. So first question is or first thing to address is, why do you need to understand AI, or rather, why do you need to understand the basics of artificial intelligence? Because if you're trying to dive into artificial intelligence, or if you're not or use AI, you need to understand what it is, especially if you don't have a background in AI, right? So it's very important to understand this, because you can't work with tool, or you can't use AI effectively if you don't know what it is. AI is not a magic bullet. It's a very powerful tool, and it can really boost productivity or really make your app, your solution very intelligent. But it's not a magic bullet. So you need to understand what AI is and what it isn't, right? So let's yes. So that's the first. That's why it's very important to see this. So on or understand this. So right. I'll be taking this tutorial or this particular video in two sections. So when you're trying to dive into AI as a technical professional, there are two aspects to it. So the first category of persons would be people who want to build from scratch. So you want to build AI solutions from scratch. You want to be able to build or like develop train models and build very customized AI solutions. So this, if you're in this category, you fall into the AI engineer, data science, machine learning, ML engineer, data engineer, and the likes, right? So, and you use tools like Hugging Faces and deep learning libraries like TensorFlow, PyTorch, and Scikit-learn, and the likes, right? So this is the first category of developers. Those want to like build and what and like build models, AI models or AI solutions from scratch. So the second category are those that's you want to just utilize AI, or that's integrate AI solution services, and we don't need this one to you're not really interested in like building from scratch. You are like backend developer who wants to use an AI APIs, or a front end developer or the like. So this is the second category, and then and this got very popular, especially with tools, with the launch of tools like GPT and their APIs, and so it makes it possible for non data related fields to be able to like tap into AI without having to go so heavy on building models and the rest. So I'll be addressing these videos for this video with this in mind, right? So I'll be presenting two roadmaps for you, and just stick with me as I go through this video. Yes. So first, I'll start with detail. Look, for those of you who want to utilize and integrate AI solutions. Um, let's get started. So the first thing you need to know is now, if you're a front-end developer or a back-end developer and you want to use AI services, right? AI powered services. So the first thing you need to understand is the APIs. You need to understand what APIs are, the foundation, right? Into, because most of the solution services you'll be working with are API services. If you're working with stability AI, working with if you're trying to integrate with a Grok or DeepSeek, DeepAI, or even GPT. Now, most times you'll be working with APIs. So it's very important for you to have an understanding of what APIs are and how to get started, how to authenticate, how to work with API authentication, and then depending on the language you're trying to work with, how to make API calls, right? And yes, basically on this, reading the documentation, make how to work with some of these solutions, and then also trying to see how you can start testing some of these API solutions, cloud API solutions. So it's very important. This is the first step or first thing you need to learn. And once you have that done, then the next thing you would need to explore is also foundational models. So most of the solutions, if you are trying to just utilize AI, it will be difficult to utilize AI. It's almost impossible not to come across foundational models. And what are foundational models? They are basically very large models that have been trained on to perform very a set of tasks, right? So for instance, you have GPT or LLM, right? You have Chat GPT. There's this a foundational model. You have Llama, you have Gemini, you have DeepSeek. These are large language models. So, but yeah, then these are not the only models that are available. You have large language, you have foundational models for videos, right? You have foundational models for images, right? So there are a lot of foundational models. They have foundational models for speech solutions. So depending on what you want to integrate, it would be very good to get familiar with some of these solutions, right? So and yeah, so there are a lot of two, like just like you see from slide, it has like you can look at, so you can focus on like four. There are a lot of there are many more options for foundational models, or rather or domains, right? But you can start with these four categories. You can start with foundation, exploring text based foundational models, videos, images, audio, right? So when you look at this, try to tap into them and then explore, see how you can use some of the APIs and just get familiar with this solution, because this will be helpful when you try to build AIs where you're trying to utilize or integrate some of these services. So yes, so then it's prompt engineering is another thing you need to learn, right? Prompt engineering, you need to learn prompt engineering because most of these AI models, especially when you're working with large language models, you have to craft prompts, and the quality of your prompt will determine how well your inputs are. Especially when you're trying to build which you get to back end solutions. Most times you might need consistency. You might need your outputs to be consistent. You might need to structure your outputs in certain formats, and this you can achieve this with good prompt engineering and ensure that you don't have solutions that will be breaking or that will break once they are deployed. So, and in addition to prompt engineering, you learn about other features that some of these foundational models come with. For instance, most of these large language models have function call solutions, and these function call solutions allow you to be able to have structured output to make your LLM to be able to call functions, predefined functions, right? So this allows you to be able to like perform certain tasks and also structure your output to maybe JSON formats, which is very important when you're trying to like exchange data for various use cases, right? So it's very important to be able to tap into some of these features, like being able to use them, understanding how this rules in LLMs, right? Being able to know, okay, there are system rules, there are assistant rules, what are these various rules, and how do you use them when you are trying to prompt engineer from an API point of view. So because some of these are abstracted when you're using the Chat GPT interface or the conversational interface, but when you're using the APIs, you will need to understand, okay, so what are the system rules, what are assistant rules, and how can you use each of them to be able to like give your LLM good context and also be able to get the best result out of it. So yes, and then I think you start getting to things like costs. How do you run prompts that are optimized and the likes? So that's very important. So yes, and then after that, then of course programming tools. So when you're working with when you're trying to utilize LLMs, most likely you already have your domain, or as a backend developer you would have your stack. So maybe you're working with Node, or you're working with PHP, maybe, or Python, maybe depending on the framework. So but you're not really an AI developer, right? So you find it to be good to see how if this language is, if or your language is supported in the documentation of the API you want to work with. So for most cases, I know JavaScript is supported in most of this, in all these libraries actually. So if they are working with this API, so you just need to find JavaScript supported. So that means we're working with React for front end, you're working with Node.js. You most likely have support for them, and then you can read documentation to get familiar with them. So just based on your tool, you try to see, you read documentation and see what's how to get started using some of these API solutions, right? And how to write code or make calls to these solutions. And then, of course, you can use tools like testing, like for debugging, like Postman, and just to see how you interact with the software. Because uh when you're working with APIs, you need to see what the response looks like and what bad requests look like and how to handle them, how to debug these solutions. Yes. So yeah, then of course security and rate limiting. So one of the things you might run into is if you don't if you don't design your solution very well, you would run into unexpected costs. So it would be good to have a rate limits on your, or you can and this with, for instance, with ChatGPT or with OpenAI, you can actually set this limit on your dashboard from your API dashboard, that when on your dashboard. So yes. So but you can also do this in code if you want. You can implement this logic in code. These are some of the things and make sure that as the software starts running, you or starts scaling up, you are able to check or limits the cost. So now you understand that when you're working with LLMs or all these prompts you are charged by tokens. So that means you have to find optimized ways or to pass your instruction with, while if possible, while keeping your tokens very concise. So these are some of the things you need to know, and then also understanding some of the attacks that could you could face when you are trying to make the use of some of these APIs. Some concepts like prompt hacking, where a user can send inputs that could get your API or get the LLM to reveal certain information you are passing with your for context. Maybe there's some private data, or if so just understanding basically what these tools or what risks are out there, and how you can if prevents them, or prevent or build your solution or your system in such a way that it's resistant to some of these issues. So yes, and then yeah, so that is it about development. So if you are trying to build with that's utilize AI or integrate AI solutions as a technical professional, not trying to go into the data roles. So that this is that's it. But that's a high level of what you need to get started. So for those who are trying to build from scratch, so that's the data scientists, the ML engineers, and the likes, and data engineers and the likes. So yes, so this could be from this your chart, or your role, your work will look like, might range from building model or training models from scratch, or fine tuning some of these models, and to suit your specific task. So it could be fine tuning foundational models for desired results. So let's get to it. And then, so if you are trying to build, if you are someone who is trying to work with if you're working with these models, right? If you're working with foundational models, or not necessarily foundational models, if you're trying to work with um what am I saying? If you're trying to build from scratch, if you're trying to be a data scientist and you're trying to build a career in data science or data or machine learning and the likes, the first foundational step, you cannot escape the basics. You have to learn Python programming. You have to get yourself solid with Python programming. You need to get be able to get familiar with libraries like NumPy, which is the foundation for a lot uh, of data science or rules, because this is the structure. This is a library that has a data structure that is utilized in a lot of computational tasks, right? A lot of libraries are designed on NumPy. So you need now NumPy, learn pandas, and then matplotlib, scikit-learn. We'll get into TensorFlow and React, or we'll get there, but basically just get familiar with the Python programming language. And yes, maths, of course, you can't get lost with maths. Just understand the theory, start learning the theory of data science, data analysis, data visualization, and understand probability, calculus, and like. So these are, it's very important. You can't escape this. It might be boring at first, but it's very necessary if you are trying to build models from scratch. So, and then of course, the foundations of machine learning, you understand the various categories, types of machine learning, the unsupervised, the supervised, and the reinforcement learning. If you there are a lot of use cases. So I would advise, of course, in that order, you can start with supervised, which is might be the easiest to like understand, and then also then you can dive into unsupervised machine learning, clustering, and more complex concepts, and then you have reinforcement learning. Just for a start, you can start with the theoretical side of things, just understanding what this means before you start getting into code. Of course, it'd be good to understand the maths and then also the coding, but I will advise that you get first understand the theory. So there are a lot of content on YouTube, there are articles, there are courses, and you just try to understand. You need to understand what these are, and then after that, you of course you have to deal with that burden. So beyond the theory, you need to understand that there are different algorithms, and this would understanding this will help you build solutions well, because these algorithms perform differently on some data. So you're giving different data type or different data structure, different, given the structure of your data, or let's say the distribution, and sometimes the pattern, the characteristics, all right, of your, or the features of your data, that could affect or influence the algorithm you use sometimes. So, and we'll get to that. So, for instance, wha- we have abstract data, we have complex data, like data about images, data about sound. You are looking more towards deep learning as compared to when you have this financial data. Then you can stick with some of these classical machine learning models, algorithms. I mean, and then of course you start getting into hands-on. So you can start getting to hands-on. The best way to learn is to actually build. So once you have gone through past the theory, the algorithms, and then you can start getting into hands-on tutorials or practice. You can get there. You have cargo competitions, projects. But I would say it's very important that you first understand the theory, and then you get into some of the you start taking some practical before you get into competition, because you can get lost when you don't know what you are getting into. So yes, and then so after that, like I said, deep learning. So once you are done with the basics of machine learning, classical machine learning algorithms, like you have decision trees, you have this SVM, you have the random forest, and the likes. So you get to and you and you have, if you want to go deeper, you would get in, especially if you're interested in like working with complex data, right? You can't avoid deep learning, because deep learning is one of the most powerful algorithms that is powering even tools like ChatGPT, object detection solutions, and the likes. So deep learning allows computers, right, or yes, the machine, to be able to analyze complex data types, so like images, videos, sound, and the like. So whenever you're trying to deal with some of these complex data types, it's very difficult for decision trees to uncover, or decision trees to some of these linear regression, to be able to uncover complex patterns from complex data type. So this is where deep learning comes in, and there are a lot of other algorithms under deep learning. You can learn the basics of neural networks and how it works. And when you get to after understanding the basics of neural networks, we start diving into more specialized networks, models like the convolutional neural networks, which is a very common and model or algorithm for image recognition and image pattern extraction, and the likes. So, and then go into recurrent neural networks, and then transformers, and the rest, which are also very helpful, are very vital for uh, natural language processing, and sequential data. Basically, that's beyond the scope of this video. And so basically, and then you can take small projects, a few projects. Classification, you can start with very basic cat dog classification, image classification projects that will use convolutional neural networks. And then you can use there are many projects out there. You find a lot of some of these tutorials on YouTube. You can try out object detection, which is great, a little bit advanced, but you can, and then you have segmentation. There are a lot of tasks you can complete, but just basically understanding what deep learning is, and then how you can use it will be very helpful to you. And then yes, so of course, like I said, there are specialized domains. So when you talk about deep learning, or when you are looking at AI, or machine learning, or and machine learning, deep learning, AI, you are looking, yeah, a lot of areas, but you see some of the very popular uh specializations you can, or areas you can focus on. Is you can look at natural language processing, which is basically analyzing text. So now where you have LLMs, large language models, this fall under NLP, so natural language processing. So you could look into that and build. You could start off with simple projects like building sentiment analysis solution, and then or a part of speech or entity extractor and the rest. And then also when you're looking at computer vision, you have image processing. So you can have image classification models. You can have object detection segment. There are a lot of them. So we can look at things. We can look into this area if you're interested in images or working with image models or computer vision models. And then you look at the reinforcement learning. This is applied to a lot of this actually had the algorithm actually powering tools like ChatGPT uses reinforcement learning. So if you're interested in that, it's a little bit more complex, but down the line, somewhere along the line, you can start getting familiar with the theoretical concept, how it works, and possibly even try out some tutorials to see how you can get familiar with it. And of course, like if you have I didn't talk about it, but you in deep learning, you have a subset of it, which is generative AI, and basically that's AI that generates content or generates content. So that is one of the corner the fun that's where you have most of these foundational models falling on it, because they have the ability to generate. So not all AI solutions or algorithms have the ability to generate, but it's very important to understand what generative AI models are and what or other types of AI models are out there. So basically, just understanding the theory and seeing how you can navigate, how you can build some of such solutions. This is going to be very helpful. So yes, and then you can't avoid data engineering. So because you will be AI is powered by data, and this means that if you are trying to build very powerful models beyond the algorithms, you will need to be able to pull data. So now, being able to structure your data, your clean your data, of course, this will be taught for you. This will be taught, or this is a skill you will learn when you start basic data analysis, cleaning data, handling missing data, and the rest. So, but as you get to go deeper, you discover that you need to be able to ingest data from multiple sources, annotate them when necessary, and I will do whatever you need to do. Sometimes this data could come from APIs, from databases, from files, from the web. So you need to be able to you might need to start getting familiar with how to work with different databases, how to work with SQL databases, NoSQL databases, how to pull data from files, how to extract from OCR, and also from websites, how to build scrapers, how to connect the APIs, and build ETL pipelines. So it's good. These are data engineering tasks, and if you're trying to work as a as a data specialist, you most likely find yourself using this skill, because it will be difficult. Tools like the reason why tools or AP or solutions like GPT, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, and the rest are very successful is because they tap into very intelligent or very large pools of data that are found from most have been retrieved from the internet. So this is scraping, this is web crawling, and you need that skill if you want to succeed as a data engineer. So yes, of course, and then model deployment. So if you're trying to depending on what specialty you want, because I know that the data space has a lot of specialized job descriptions, right? So you have the machine learning engineer, you have, which is slightly, of course, they have overlapping phases, but you have data analyst, you have the data scientist, you have the machine learning engineer, the ML ops engineer, and then you have the data engineer as well. So they have a lot of overlapping spaces with roles like data engineering having more focus on the cloud computing side of data. You have ML engineering focusing more on the software engineering parts of that building and integrating AI solutions into apps. And then you have data science, which is mainly the experimentation, building performing and optimizing, and so there are a lot of but of course they are overlapping, and depending on the company you're working with, you might find yourself just shuffling these roles and so on. So but it's very important to like understand how or at least be able to see the process. So how you deploy solutions. Sometimes you might need to build an API and abstract your models decision making through API calls, right? And sometimes it might be different. So just being able to understand how you can build a model, export and deploy such models in various environments, it will be very helpful. That's something that you will need to learn. So yes, and at this, I hope I have done justice to this question. If you have more questions, or if you need clarification on certain sunset concepts, please feel free to reach out, and then follow my blog. I'll be working on tutorials, practical tutorials that will actually help you build this skill. So thank you, and see you in my next video.